Welcome to a Friday edition of Locked On Heat, and today we have a crossover with Locked On Cavs. And on today's show, we will preview tonight's matchup between the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers, get into some of the key matchups, and then take a look at the Sixth Man of the Year race, and we finally settle who should win it, Tyler Herro or Kevin Love. It's all coming up next.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to a Locked On crossover episode between Locked On Heat and Locked On Cavs. I'm Wes Goldberg of Locked On Heat, here with my co-host, David Ramil, and the host of Locked On Cavs, Chris Manning. Guys, we got a big game tonight between two playoff teams, the Heat and the Cavaliers. Before we preview the game and get into some matchups and then debate who should win Sixth Man of the Year between Tyler Herro and Kevin Love, let's talk about where both teams are with about 15 games left in the regular season with a little stock watch. We're going to do a little stock watch game here, and we're going to start with you, Chris. The Cavs currently in sixth place in the Eastern Conference, but they have won two straight. Is their stock up or down right now?
I think it's a little bit up. I mean, I think coming off the Indiana game, where Darius Garland had career high in points and Evan Mobley was incredible, and they kind of found a way to win in a game where it didn't look like they were going to do it. I think there has to be some positive energy of coming off of them right now. I think that the reason to say maybe the stock is down to some degree is because Jared Allen is out. He's been an incredibly important player this year, an all-star level player for them this year. So like in that sense, I think they're down. But I think in terms of us finding out stuff about them, and I think embracing the Evan Mobley of it all, I'm going to say they're up, and they're kind of in the middle of a weird stretch of the schedule right now too, which plays a part in this because they get Miami, then Chicago on the second night of a back-to-back, and then they play Denver and the Clippers next week. So it's kind of a brutal schedule. But for now, just coming off an Indiana win, and for the fact that they get a couple days off in Miami, which I'm sure they were looking forward to, I'm going to say up.
David, what do you think about the Heat?
Well, I guess it's the easy answer, and I don't know if it's even a possibility, is holding steady. At the same time, they are coming off a bad loss to the Phoenix Suns, and while we've been chastised for putting too much weight on the significance of that one loss, Miami was exposed to some
Who's chastising us?
Oh, the 54 commenters on YouTube. You guys just
we literally said they lost to a better. All right, forget it. I'm not going to get upset.
Love the YouTube audience. Also, sometimes feels like they're not always listening to what they just projecting what they think you said, and they're not always listening. So love you guys, but come on.
54 commenters. All right, next.
Aside from that, though, I'd say they're still doing pretty well. I mean, top the Eastern Conference. With missing Jimmy Butler, likely to be back on Fridays for Friday's game, although we haven't had any kind of I don't think anything's been reported as of yet.
No.
But yet it seems likely that he'll be available. If Kyle Lowry's available, then they'll be at full strength. And getting Victor Oladipo back, although he looked a little shaky in the loss of the Suns on Wednesday night, he's there. So Miami potentially as healthy as they've been all season, although Caleb Martin seems like likely he'll be sitting out the game, and he's been providing some stellar perimeter defense as well as some occasional shooting and the high-flying dunks. But, this is still a very good team that plays defense at a very high level, that has a great amount of depth. And to me, I think that they're, again, holding steady, even though they just suffered a tough loss on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, your stock can't go. This isn't the BCS, right? Like, you don't get docked points for losing against a better team. Like, I just don't believe in that in the BCS or in regards to the Heat and the Phoenix Suns. But You mentioned a couple things there, Chris, about the Cavaliers. Evan Mobley being like the top thing that to me is like that to me is the most interesting thing about the Cavaliers this season, despite Darius Garland making the All-Star game, despite like the 3-7-footer lineups and all that kind of fun stuff. And there's a lot of great storylines happening in Cleveland, is what I'm trying to say. But the Evan Mobley one is probably the best one, the funnest one, I should say. What has been your takeaway from Evan Mobley? What do you think his ceiling is after this far into his rookie season?
I think number one, I think this is a guy that has been, for me, full stop, the rookie of the year. I don't think it's close. Yeah. I don't think, all respect to Cade Cunningham, who's been great of late. Jalen Green's had some great moments. Scotty Barnes has had some great moments. Evan Mobley has not only been arguably the second, I think maybe the second best player overall in Cleveland at times, and at times the best player on the floor for them. But he's been an all defensive level player this year, and the offense is it's not great yet. He is not quite figured out some of that stuff yet, and he's figuring out his shot. He's figuring out, I think, the grind of an 82-game season. But I think this is a guy that looks like he's going to be like one of the best defensive players in the league like as soon as next year. And I think this is a guy that could win like Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to be that good defensively. And I think this is a guy that could be one of the best players in the league. We need to see how he progresses. We need to see how he adds to his offensive game. He's talked a lot throughout the year about adding muscle and adding strength to his frame. And I want to see how that looks and how that changes him and affects him and how that give and take kind of goes with some of his nimbleness in his lean frame right now. But he's really, really good. And he's a superstar in the making. Like he's maybe not the most important player in this Cavs team this year. I think that's Darius Garland. I think maybe hasn't been qualitatively as good as Garland or Allen just pound for pound yet, but he's had moments where you're just like, this guy is undeniable. Like he's on that path.
Sorry, I've got to say, but you're quite literally wearing your Homer glasses as we speak right now. Like, don't you think that's coloring your perspective to some degree? You're kind of dismissing the rest of the rookie class, and like you can't just pick and choose. Like, oh, he's really, really bad offensively, but guess what? He's really good defensively, and that makes him rookie of the year.
I didn't say he's bad offensively. I said he's a work in progress offensively. And like, look,
I'm trying to pick holes in the argument a little bit here.
Here's the thing. He has shown stuff as a passer. Also called me my co-host Evan Demerol is the homer of the two. I am the cynic who's like bury me in my non-fandom. But I don't think you guys tell me as locked in NBA hosts, as guys who cover this, who are looking at this team from the outside. Who is the last time you've seen a rookie be this good defensively as Evan Mobley from day one? Is there anyone that comes to mind for you?
Anthony Davis would be the closest thing, and I don't think it was to this. And Anthony, that was a while ago, right? Anthony Davis, I know that he's having a tough year right now, but he's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. So I'm with you. By the way, I loved Evan Mobley coming out of USC. I think it's a no-brainer. He's Rookie of the Year. I don't care if there's going to be a Cade Cunningham or a Jalen Green contingent kind of pushing late. Evan Mobley Jalen Green got off to a slow start. Cade Cunningham did too, but not so much, not as slow as Jalen Green. Evan Mobley's been awesome from the get-go, and that matters. Like what you did in the beginning season should matter as much as what you do at the end of the season too. And like you said, he's still been great. So just because he's not like it's weird. Like the Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham is a little bit newer, but they're all three of them are rookies. They're all the same new. They're all the same amount of new. Evan Mobley is exciting and it's fun, and I'm with you. I think he should be the Rookie of the Year. How's Karis LeVert fit in?
He's played 4 games and he sprained his foot.
So not great.
We don't know. I mean, this is it's sort of like the opposite of the Oladipo thing for Miami, which is one of the things I am most fascinated by with Miami now is them bringing in Victor Oladipo at this point in the year, another former Pacer coincidence.
It's kind of the same as how they brought in Oladipo last year. Oladipo played 4 games and then got hurt.
Yeah. So LeVert sprained his foot the Tuesday after All-Star weekend, and we don't know when he's going to come back. And like, you acquired him to win basketball games this year. Like you can say like, oh, you have him under contract next year, all of that stuff. You acquired him to make your team better right now. You went out and got him, trading away your first this year and Ricky Rubio's contract and all of that, and like some seconds and whatever, to go get a guy to help you win basketball games right now when he's not helping you do that. And it's like I imagine that it will be very hard to properly integrate him over like if he comes back for the last like 5 games or whatever. It's I don't know. I'm just guessing. That is very hard to integrate a guy like that doing what he does and try to maximize him for this year. Just is going to be very, very hard.
I didn't love that trade when it happened. I don't love the Karis LeVert fit there. I thought like if there was a guy like Eric Gordon or somebody out there, that just made more sense. I don't know, but that's weeks ago, and we don't need to debate that. But talking about reintegrating people, I mean that's sort of to your point what the Heat are doing right now with Victor Oladipo. It's been a couple of games with Vic and the Heat. I think it's been mixed, David, would you say? I think up and down at times. He still looks slow, expected. He's still knocking these cobwebs off after not playing for almost a year. But what to me has been interesting is how they're using him. Every single one of his minutes has been aligned with Tyler Herro's. And so you could theoretically see what they're trying to do there. Herro's the offensive guard, Oladipo's the defensive guard. Oladipo could do some ball handling, make things a little bit easier from a shot creation perspective for Tyler and all that stuff. But all of that still is pretty theoretical, right, David?
Yeah, I'd say so. Look, and to your point, he's had some nice moments. The emotions of his first game back, I think, kind of carried him to a solid offensive display, but without that same emotionality on Wednesday against a team, again, that was clearly better than Miami for one night. He looked a little not passive exactly, and that's been a positive thing, if anything, the fact that he's been at least willing to do everything that we could expect of him regarding being able to drive to the basket, pull up for shots, play defense. It hasn't always worked, to your point, though, because he has been a step slow, and it just does look like he's not quite at 100%, and maybe he can work through those for the rest of the season. Who knows? That's the big question about Oladipo, is how soon he can get back to full strength, and what level is full strength even going to mean? Like, is it in comparison to what he was a couple of years ago before the injuries? Was it just looking at last year as the barometer? It keeps changing with him, but a mixed bag, I think, is a pretty fair way of assessing what he's done so far.
We're going to look ahead to the key matchups for tonight's game, but first, let's talk about our friends at Bet Online. It's that time of year again, as college basketball's tournament is finally upon us. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, betonline.net is the number one source for all of your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. It's not just basketball either. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Heat and Locked On Cavs your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and it's available wherever you get your podcasts. This is the third meeting between the Heat and the Cavs, Cleveland taking the first two, but they're going to be without Jarrett Allen this time around. Chris, how do you think this is going to impact tonight's game?
Well, based on the one game we've seen Cleveland play without Jarrett Allen, it's going to change a little bit of what they do, what their identity is. It pushes Evan Mobley to the 5, which he can play, and he's played successfully at times this year, but he's not the same kind of rim protector that Jarrett Allen is. Jarrett Allen has kind of been the backline of their defense this year when they've played teams, for instance, that have, let's say, like a guy like Jimmy Butler that likes to get inside the paint, likes to attack the middle of the defense. He is like the back end of the wall. When they played Toronto last week before Allen went out, they just basically said, okay, we're going to put Allen at the back and we're going to have him navigate bodies and we're going to use our size, and Allen's going to be that last guy waiting for you, and he will try to block every single shot that comes his way, or at least contest it with verticality. And like, you can't do that now. If you go back and watch the end of the Pacers game, I actually wrote about this. You can go find it. They had like Lamar Stevens in the dunker spot at the end of the game, and like comes off the bench, he slides off of Jalen Smith, blocks a shot. That is normally Jarrett Allen's job, and I think we're still seeing how they're going to adjust it. Evan Mobley is going to roam around. He's going to switch more, I think, and that'll be kind of part of it. But it takes away a layer of what has made Cleveland's defense so good this year. It just does, and I don't think we fully know yet what the repercussions are. I mean, Indiana's not a good team. Miami is a good team, coached by Eric Spoelstra. Like, they're going to have a game plan, and I think probably have some success against Cleveland in this one.
Yeah, David, I'm expecting the Heat in this game because the Cavaliers are lacking their 7-footer and because they really only have one perimeter ball handler. I could see them kind of breaking out like a kind of blitz Garland in all situations type of defense, where every time he comes across a screen or anything like that, they're just crowding him, they're blitzing him, they're trying to get the ball out of his hands. I can kind of see that being the strategy tonight. What do you think?
Like a double perhaps with Bam, like
yeah.
The primary defender already, locking down or at least challenging.
Do we think that primary defender will be PJ Tucker again, or maybe it's Lowry this time around? I don't know.
I think it's going to have to be.
You could put PJ on Mobley and let Bam be a roamer too.
Yeah, I guess that's a possibility. And again, assuming Jimmy comes back, and without Caleb, that takes away one other quality perimeter defender.
Well, maybe this is how Victor Oladipo steps into some degree.
No, there's no ramp up, Chris. There's no ramp up. He's not getting more than 15 minutes a game, so he can't do anything.
I was scolded. I figured out a new word for that, by the way, David. I think
What's that?
This is the second time I've been spolded this season.
That's good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
If you can get popped, you can get spolded.
I got spolded.
You should get like a sticker with that and put it on your laptop, so if you're like sitting in the media room and
right.
you can be like, oh hey,
I got spolded.
Yeah.
No, the first time was when I asked in was it the preseason practice or something? It was like the first practice of the year. I asked Spo like, hey, do you think Bam's gonna start shooting more threes this year? And like before I could even get the question fully out, he's like, "Why is everybody so obsessed about him shooting threes?" I was like, "All right, sorry, I'm new here."
Look, man, I was covering the Warriors before this. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right,
like,
exactly.
But do we assume, however, that the same starting lineup will? Well, I mean, Gabe Vincent won't be there. I mean, if Jimmy comes back, then I guess you don't have to worry about that. But I
Yeah.
mean, I guess that Gabe's role would be different. Maybe he'll go back to not playing at all, considering the fact that Victor Oladipo is available now, and if Jimmy does come back, then all of a sudden we won't see Gabe Vincent as a defender that you can stick at a guy like Garland. Like I think the Vincent Garland matchup would be a favorable one. Well, maybe an even one.
I mean, Garland's super good. I don't know.
I mean, Vincent as a defender, I'm saying.
Yeah,
Vincent
David.
as a defender.
I see what you mean.
David coming with the homework glass.
Yeah,
he's like, I know Gabe Vincent is going to lock up Darius Garland. I don't know.
Who would you rather build around, Darius Garland or Gabe Vincent?
It's a toss up.
No. To your point earlier, though, about maybe this is where Victor Oladipo steps in. I'm interested to see when it happens. When Victor Oladipo kind of pulls the tough defensive assignment, because this is a guy who was voted first team all defense or whatever, all defensive team NBA, whatever, in 2018, right? He's a two-time All-Star because he was a good scorer in those 2 years in Indiana, but also because he was respected as a two-way player. In these first two games, and again, I'm not drawing any conclusions. All I'm doing is pointing things out, right? In these first two games, he spent most of the time against Phoenix defending Jay Crowder, Torrey Craig, Landry Shamet. He spent most of his time against Houston guarding Deshaun Nix, Josh Christopher, who I've never heard of, and Garrison Matthews.
Wow. The Josh Christopher slander from Wes. Unbelievable.
Never heard of him.
Wow.
What do you even know what college you went to?
Arizona State.
All right. See.
Look,
you probably made that up.
I only know that because Jackson Gatlin's like a big Josh Christopher head, just to lock in the Rockets, and two, at Summer League, Josh Christopher's family was the loudest family in the.
I also don't know who Jackson Gatlin is, so that's fine.
I mean, look, we're all worse off for knowing who he is, so that's fine.
The point being is that Victor Oladipo has not drawn the tough defensive straw yet. I think he's going to. I think they're obviously, and excuse my turn of phrase here, ramping up to that point. But maybe it happens tonight is what I'm saying. Maybe he gets some play against Darius Garland or something like that.
Well, I think you guys are right in outlining that as the defensive strategy, just because what we have seen teams do, and what Indiana did when Garland started going off the other night, was, okay, they're going to pressure him near half court. He's going to bring the ball up, and we're going to say, we're going to pressure you, we're going to double you, we're going to try to trap you, and we're going to say, pass it to Isaac Okoro. That's fine. Pass it to Lauri Markkanen. That's fine. Evan Mobley, put him in a pressure situation and make him make a quick read or a decision out of the short roll if he gets the ball out of that situation. The Cavs don't have. This was the point of LeVert, is to bring someone in to also handle the ball. This is why Ricky Rubio is so good for this team. It's why, it maybe was misguided, but it's why they went out and traded for Rajon Rondo after Rubio got hurt, and Rondo's not been good. But they don't have that, and if they close, or this is a tight game with Garland, Okoro, Markkanen, Mobley, and Kevin Love or Dean Wade, the lack of guys that can really dribble in pressure situations, it's Darius. And Miami seems like a team that could say hey, Isaac Okoro beat Jimmy Butler 1-on-1 off ball or something like that. That seems like a thing we could see.
David, any other key matchups that you're looking ahead to?
Well, I think something that we'll probably discuss a little bit more in detail next segment, but I wonder how Kevin Love will play against that second unit there. I guess Miami will have to do some things a little differently. Again, if they're going to be dealing with some injury issues, they're a little bit smaller.
Especially in that second unit. That's a good call out. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dwayne Dedman, who would likely be matched up against Love, not necessarily a good matchup for him. And I think we saw that. I think we saw Dedman get exposed a little bit in the first two matchups against Cleveland. So I could see that being a problematic matchup for Miami.
Well, you teased it already. The Sixth Man of the Year race is down to maybe two players featured into tonight's game. We're going to debate who should win that award next. But first, we're going to talk about Built Bar. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. And look, I know you've heard us talking about Built Bars a lot on Locked On Heat and on Locked On Cavs, how they're covered in chocolate, low in carbs, calories, high in protein, bunch of flavors, all that. Look, I'm just going to go off script here for a little bit because I just want to say that I had been looking and experimenting with protein bars for a long time before Built Bars partnered with us and started, sending them to us for free. And I got to say that these are by far my favorite protein bars, and not just because they're free. I've tried most of the flavors, I think, at this point, except for the coconut ones, because I don't dig on coconut. But Built Bars, they taste great. Some others taste better than the other ones, but what I like about them is the macros. They're unbeatable. They don't make me feel gross after I eat them. Some of these chemically ones just don't sit right. You know what I'm talking about? If you've had some of these other protein bars, they just make you feel weird after. And some of them just make you feel too full, bloated, all that stuff. Built bars seriously taste great, give me the protein and energy that I need throughout the day, and I feel good after. So go to built.com and scroll down to the macros chart. You're going to be blown away. High protein, low calories, high in fiber, low in carbs. Most Built bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. And they have a ton of flavors like mint brownie, coconut almond, and new in this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They're all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. If you think a flavor might be good, they will make it, and it's going to be delicious, and it's going to be good for you. At Built Bar, they are all about taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every time. So here's the offer. Go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off on your order. Again, use that promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. The sixth man of the year debate. Heat fans are convinced that Tyler Herro is the leader, the favorite, that it's a done deal. Chris, your response.
Well, number one, shots to bet online. He's the betting favorite from our official betting partner over there. Kevin Love, I think, is like second or third in that. I think it's probably Herro, but Kevin Love should, I think, very much be in this discussion.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw some advanced numbers at you guys, and we're going to see what you say.
Oh, advanced numbers.
Here we go.
Love my nerd.
I'm still trying to figure out what a macro is. I don't even know if we can.
Yeah, what are Kevin Love's macros, Chris?
Look, we've seen how lean he got. Maybe Kevin Love's been eating Built Bars this whole time. We just didn't know. I mean, look at Kevin Love Minnesota.
What do you think his favorite flavor is?
Oh man, I
Mint
bet
chocolate.
Yeah.
You don't know this, Chris, but that was a diss.
Mint,
David hates mint chocolate.
That's like Wes just became my love mint. So shouts to my like coconut, which is tough. But I digress. Okay,
I hate coconut.
Dunks and threes for the year. Tyler Herro has an EPM expected plus minus of negative 0.2. Kevin Love's plus is plus 2.9. Expected wins created. Kevin Love 5.2. Tyler Herro 3.4. Kevin Love's impact has also just been like kind of outrageous on a team that needs him to do this. Like, I don't know. Like, I could see a world where Miami got production from other guys that had someone step up and fill this. And this isn't exactly how this award works. But if I'm making a narrative case, here's Kevin Love looking washed up, looking grumpy. I advocated on Locked On Cavs that they should just like move on from him in some way because it was just bad. He's had a really, really good year. And it's not like peak Kevin Love anymore, but he has evolved into a 20-minute a game, 23-minute a game bench guy who's been really good, really efficient, particularly good as a three-point shooter, as a rebounder. The defense is a little shaky, but like pretty effective Kevin Love at age 33, almost 34, and like he to me is like it's like the Cavs bench unit would be pretty listless without him and like the occasional Jetty Osman goes nuclear game.
I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, look, to be honest with you,
Clip it. David Ramil says Kevin Love should win Sixth Man of the Year. Okay, cool.
You know what? No, I would actually lean that.
Don't do this to me, David. Don't do this to me. No.
If I was an impact, again,
if you were a voter,
if I was a voter, I'd be looking at the impact of Kevin Love, and that would certainly weigh heavily in his favor. It's just the award has become, which bench player scores the most. And it has nothing to do with whether he makes plays for anybody else, whether he plays defense at a high level. None of that matters. Lou Williams was a terrible defender. And given all that, like Tyler Herro at age 22 is Miami's go-to scorer. Like when they need a bucket, they go to Tyler. When this offense bogs down, they go to Tyler. And he's thrived in that role. Again, this is the best team in the Eastern Conference with its leading scorer coming off the bench. And, with the exception of a poor second half performance against the Phoenix Suns, that's been pretty consistent all season long. Yes, he missed an occasional game here and there, but for the most part, he has been Miami's most reliable, most consistent, and best scorer. And that's really all that matters when it comes down to the award. And look, there's also an element of playmaking that Tyler's improved on this year, too. So while he's not the hub of the offense or the second unit to way Kevin Love is, I'd say Tyler's still an improved playmaker. And he's also an improved defender, too. He can be picked on occasion, but let's just say he's he's been better at it than he has in years past, and I think he start trending, in the right direction. So it all skews in his favor, I'd say.
So I love that we just laid out the cases a little bit there. I know that Chris brought out the advanced macros and things like that. Something called estimated plus minus. Is that what that was?
I believe it's the EPM estimated plus minus from dunks
Okay.
and threes.
Here's something that's not estimated.
Seth Partnow cosine site. I'm just saying. Seth Partnow, former NBA analytics guy, uses this site. I'm just saying.
It's a great site. It's a great site. It's a good stat. It's not the best stat. No. Here's a stat that's not estimated. This is an exact stat. Okay. The Heat are 15-3 when Tyler Herro scores 25 or more points in a game.
It's pretty good.
That's impactful. That matters to me. That's wins. There's no estimation there. That's a win. That's on paper. That's a win. That's a win. So that stuff matters to me more. I think Kevin Love has had an incredible season. I thought I was hoping that he wouldn't, so that he would get bought out and that the Heat would pick him up. I know David and I were talking about that in the preseason. That did not happen. Good for Kevin Love. Seems like a nice guy.
Even when it was grumpy, it was grumpy, Kevin, we advocated trading for him despite the contract. Everybody, a lot of fans listening to us saying, "What? No, we don't want anything to do with Kevin Love." It's like, this guy's a proven winner. I still like him on our team.
I love Cleveland, Ohio. Who among us has not got a chance to go to some warmer climates and felt a little bit better? I'm just saying.
Right.
It's true. I think it's Tyler Herro's award. I don't know what he has to. If he just goes 0 points on 0 for 16 shooting for the rest of the season every game, maybe he loses it. But even then, I'd have a hard time thinking that that's the case. I think Herro's going to get it. At the end of the day, we can lay out the cases for a bunch of players. I do think that the voters will ultimately just give it to Tyler Herro, and I don't really think it's going to be close, given just the raw stats that we're seeing him put up.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think ultimately, he's playing 8 more minutes a game, 7-8 minutes more a game. That matters. Miami's a better team. Miami's a title contender, and I think the Cavs are going to probably be a top 6 team that has a outside puncher's chance to compete in a first round series, or we'll see if they, depending on who they play and whatnot. So I think it is Herro's award to lose. I have been looking at the other candidates, and I kind of feel like it should be these two guys 1 and 2 though. That I feel more strongly about than
who are the other candidates?
Kelly Oubre has been very high in the betting lines for the year, and I find that kind of he's actually killed the Cavs this year, and I like Kelly Oubre as a player, but that doesn't totally vibe with me. And
no. And they have the 2 best stories going for them too. I mean, Tyler Herro, big bubble, kind of sophomore slump, comes back. I think for him, another note on him is that the Heat, they have such an egalitarian. Thank you. Offense. That's why you're a good co-host. And it's great. That's it's fun to watch. Sometimes you just need a guy to just go do it, go take the tough shot, just go. You know what? Screw the passing. I'm just going to pull up from 30 feet. And it work most of the sometimes at least. I think that's really cool. And then for Kevin Love, again, it's just a great story for him too. I know that people are like, do we trade him? Do you buy him out? All this stuff over the last couple of years. He's grumpy. He's throwing the basketball at his teammates' faces and all that stuff. And whatever. All that was kind of fun for YouTube and clips and stuff. But
should have had YouTube locked on cast, but when
my gosh,
I would have milked all its worth.
But the fact that it looks like he's going to. I don't know about finish out his career, but he could have at least finish up whatever Cavaliers, his stint in Cleveland, playing a meaningful role for a playoff team. It's a really good story. It's really cool. You love to see that kind of stuff in the NBA because you don't really see it, right? No. You don't see that happen. That didn't happen for Blake Griffin and the Clippers. It didn't happen for kind of players in a similar situation who did end up just getting bought out at the end of the day after a rebuild. Kevin Love stuck around, and that's pretty cool. All right. Any other thoughts before we wrap this up?
I want to just ask you guys, just so my listeners / viewers know and are aware, because maybe they're not watching the Heat on a night-to-night basis, but I've been blown away by Bam Adebayo since he's come back from injury. Can you guys just explain how good he's been so people know what they're getting into and watching him on
Defensive Player of the Year, Bam Adebayo? Absolutely. I think we're starting to see that stock rise, and I think we proudly started that trend here on this show because he's deserving. I know I had pitched to Wes about making this segment a full-on debate segment about Jared Allen versus Bam Adebayo as the better defender, and I know they're different in their styles, and then you look at the rim protection numbers, and Allen clearly is a favorite, but that's just not the role that Bam plays. Miami's defense is precipitated on a significant amount of switching, and it's only made possible because you have a 6'9" center or 6'8" center that can guard 1 through 5. So you'll see Bam on Darius Garland even without the double. Like that's just his role.
Mhm.
He'll occasionally do that, and there will be no concerns about whether or not he's going to get blown past or anything like that. He's just that good of a defender. Aside from all that, offensively, there was one game in particular. Was it the loss of the Boston Celtics, which really and Wes reported on it, that it kind of like it jarred something in Bam, a recognition that he needed to be more aggressive, and it's something that Heat fans have been calling for
Yeah.
the last couple of seasons. And having said that, he's been more aggressive for the most part. Now he still has games where he's not looking to score as much. He can still be impacted by size and length. Like if he's got a 7 foot plus defender on him, then there's a good chance he'll still be a little bit hesitant to look for his scoring. But for the most part, he has been a very, very good and efficient scorer over the last couple of weeks too, and it's been a necessary addition for the Heat, because he's just all of a sudden now you have a reliable scorer aside from Tyler or Jimmy, and you can just give him the ball and watch him go to work. And it's an incredible combination of speed and athleticism, et cetera. So great defensively, very good, and improved offensively as well.
Sort of like the Evan Mobley timeline, right? I mean, that's kind of what I think Cavs fans could watch in this game from Bam defensively. Obviously, Evan Mobley's already like a great defender, but Bam, what he's able to do from a switching perspective, a blitzing perspective, and just his anticipation when he's not on the primary ball handler in that moment, um, is all just elite stuff that comes with time. And I think Evan Mobley will get there. And I think actually Cavs fans can watch this game and watch Bam closely. And you can kind of see that, like, once Evan Mobley gets some more NBA experience under his belt in year 2, 3, 4, you're going to see him doing a lot of the same things that Bam is able to do, just from, again, that anticipation, that diagnosing and downloading what the offense is doing. And all, again, that stuff that comes with time. Evan Mobley's obviously got the athletic gifts already. He just needs more experience, and that's going to come. But I think it'll be cool for Cavs fans to sort of to watch this game and watch specifically Bam through that lens. It could be fun. All right. That'll wrap up our crossover episode. Make sure to subscribe to episodes of both shows, Locked On Heat and Locked On Cavs, on YouTube or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Thank you for making Locked On Heat and Locked On Cavs your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA, Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every day, Monday through Friday, in less than 30 minutes. It's free and it's available wherever you get your podcasts.